Alone in Alaska. My grandfather's shocking rules for survival at 3 a.m. in the wilderness. The cold seeped into your bones, wrapping around you like a thick fog. In the dead of night, the Alaskan wilderness was a theater of unimaginable terror. Biting winds howled as if warning you of the horrors lurking behind every tree. Shadows danced, merging and stretching into shapes that didn't belong. When darkness fell, everything changed. It wasn't just the absence of light. It was the presence of something far more sinister. In this unforgiving terrain, my grandfather's rules were not just old tales to scare kids. They were commandments for survival. His stories told of wandering souls lost to the night, people who dared to break his rules. Do not walk alone after dark, he would growl, eyes sharp like a hawk's. You'll hear them whispers in the wind. They'll call your name. A tightness would grip my chest every time he said it. A seed of dread planted deep within me. I remember the time I challenged him, laughing it off. Come on, Grandpa, it's just the wind. But the laughter died as fast as it came, replaced by a fear that gnawed at my gut when I thought of the forest, alive with unseen eyes. It wasn't long until the whispers began. One night, out past the flickering light of the campfire, a sound sliced through the stillness. It was a voice soft, plaintive, and distinctly human. My heart raced as the icy grip of fear clutched at me. I wanted to look. I wanted to run. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But it was just a moment, a heartbeat of silence, and then, not far behind me, a rustle among the branches. My blood ran cold. Shadows twisted, and the whispers grew louder. I stumbled backward, panic rising like bile. Was it a spirit? Predator? Just my imagination? The air thickened with a kind of dread you could almost taste, sharp and metallic. I remembered Grandpa's words. Never turn your back. But that night, I did. The ground shifted beneath my feet as the whispers beckoned me. I was about to step straight into a nightmare I couldn't escape. What would happen if I did? My heart thundered as I fumbled in the dark, trying to orient myself amidst the chaos of the night. The whispers swirled, a cacophony of voices drifting through the trees. Help us, one called, rasping against my ears. Come play, another taunted, icy and mocking. I was frozen in place, unsure whether to run or stay. Just then, an unnatural chill swept through the clearing, and the rustling in the branches intensified. It was not just wind. It felt alive, filled with a sentience that sent jolts of fear coursing through me. I glanced behind, the shadows forming shapes too indistinct to comprehend but too sinister to ignore. With every breath, I clung to my grandfather's rules, every word echoing in my mind like an incantation designed to ward off evil. Stay close to the fire, I whispered to myself, but there was no fire, no safety net to cling to. I was alone, swallowed by the dark that I tore my gaze from the shifting shadows, feeling the urge to flee swell within me. Suddenly, my foot caught on a root, and I stumbled to the ground. The moment felt eternal, a slip into the abyss. As the whispers faded into a suspenseful silence, the world around me paused, anticipating what would emerge from the dark. Then, a low growl rumbled from somewhere deep within the thicket. It wasn't an animal. It was something else, something wrong. My body willed to move, but dread had wrapped its icy fingers around me. I had to leave. I had to escape. Summoning every ounce of willpower, I scrambled to my feet and began to run, heart pounding, feet pounding the frozen earth. The trees loomed overhead like relentless sentinels as I dodged between trunk and underbrush. I gasped for breath, my lungs screaming for air, but the nightmares felt close behind. Is this it? I thought. Is this how I end? Lost in the whispers? A surge of determination pushed me deeper into the forest, fueled by fear and the instinct to survive. No longer were the woods simply mysterious. They became a perilous maze filled with malevolence. I stumbled into a small clearing, moonlight spilling onto the ground like a stream of silver. I searched for any sign of salvation. Then I saw a figure at the edge of the trees. My stomach dropped. A silhouette just outside the light. "Hello? Who's there?" My voice came out cracked and weak, a far cry from the bravado I longed to muster. The figure stepped closer, its features obscured, but the unmistakable sound of shuffling feet filled the sudden silence. The whispers were gone, replaced by something heavier, an urgency that sent chills straight through me. The figure stopped, just beyond the moonlight, and I could feel something primal in its gaze. Then it spoke, voice like the night itself, deep and resonant. "You shouldn't be here." The ground beneath me vibrated with the weight of those words. My instincts screamed at me to turn and run, but curiosity had me rooted in place. "What are you?" I dared to ask, knowing I readied myself for whatever horror it could unveil. The figure tilted its head. "You're one of the lost now." A cold sweat broke out across my brow as the implications washed over me. I glanced behind. The shadows were shifting again, as if awaiting my decision. Should I fight? Should I flee? What did it mean to be lost? And as the moonlight flickered, revealing just a glimpse of the figure's face, I felt something incredibly dark looming over me, something ancient and dreadful. The question echoed in my mind: what happens when you become one of the lost? Before I could react, a deafening crack split the air, a sharp sound that reverberated through the night, and I was left with the chilling sense that there was no way out, only deeper into the dark. The story was far from over. Would I discover the truth? Would I find my way back? Or would the whispers claim me as one of their own? I barely had a moment to process the figure's unsettling words when the darkness around me seemed to pulse with energy. The trees swayed, not from the wind, but in response to something primordial, something that thrummed in the very air I breathed. I could feel the pulse in my veins, matching the rhythm of the woods, beating louder with every second. "What does that mean?" I croaked, my voice barely above a whisper as the figure loomed closer, enshrouded in shadow. I could make out a rough outline, now long limbs, a fluid grace that belied the ominous presence. "You will understand," it replied, voice steady and chilling. "But time runs short." In that instant, a sharp crack echoed through the clearing again. But this one felt different. It reverberated through the ground, shaking my very core. Instinctively, I took a step back, the looming dread clawing at my throat. "What are you?" I managed to ask, though doubts filled my mind like poison. The figure didn't answer directly. Instead, it turned slightly, gesturing towards the thicket behind it. "Follow if you wish to find the truth." Every nerve in my body screamed to run the other way, to escape whatever horrors lay beyond the tangled brush. Yet something held me there, an invisible thread of curiosity and fear. "Why should I trust you?" I pressed, my voice trembling. "Trust is but a fleeting notion in these woods," it replied cryptically. "Your heart knows the truth. Are you brave enough to seek it?" That question hung in the air, heavy and foreboding. Brave? I didn't feel brave. I felt terrified and vulnerable. But what choice did I have? There was nothing behind me but more darkness, more whispers, and I could no longer distinguish between reality and nightmare. Taking a deep breath, I forced my feet to move as I stepped forward. The shadows danced around me, vying for my attention, tempting me to give in to despair. The figure moved slightly ahead, leading me through the dense underbrush. The air thickened as we pushed deeper into the forest. I could hear rustling all around, akin to whispers sharing secrets just out of reach. The scent of damp earth and moss filled my lungs. "Do you see them?" it asked, pausing just long enough for me to take note of shifting shapes against the darkened trunks. I squinted, trying to discern what it meant. Were the shadows shifting? Or was my mind playing tricks on me? "Who?" My voice barely carried above the crunch of leaves beneath our feet. The figure gestured again, this time more broadly, and as moonlight flickered through the trees, The dreadful shapes became clearer, faces twisted in agony, mouths opened as if scream. But the sounds were hushed. Witnesses, the figure said, almost tenderly, each one lost, each doomed to remain. You must understand the choice they made, and the choices you are about to make. An icy dread settled in my chest, and the words fell like stones into my gut. What choice was I being given? I didn't want to see these lost souls. Their despair sank its claws deeper into my psyche. I turned, wanting desperately to escape, but the figure blocked my path, its presence a solid wall of inevitability. Why are you showing me this? I shouted, panic rising, clutching my head as confusion warped my thoughts. Because you need to decide, it said, its voice rising in urgency. Embrace the darkness, or fight to reclaim your light before it's too late. As I stared into the sorrowful eyes surrounding me, realization struck like lightning. I had to break this cycle. The weight of their silent screams pressed against my chest, each face a reflection of my own potential fate. Was I becoming one of them? The very ground beneath me trembled again, and it dawned on me the darkness was stirring, responding to my fear. Craved my surrender, but I couldn't let it win. I had to dig deep, to summon the strength within me. And then I heard it, a whisper rising above the others, drowning them out. Choose wisely. Before I could respond, the ground erupted beneath me with a force that sent me tumbling backward into the chaos. Everything spun into a maelstrom of shadows and sound, and panic seized me. What choice would I make? Would I succumb to the shadows, or rise against them? The darkness enveloped me as I fell deeper into the unknown, leaving me only with the terrifying truth that my next decision might be my last. The ground roared as I tumbled through darkness, an endless plunge into the unknown. Shadows enveloped me, thick and suffocating, as the world lost its shape. Dizziness twisted my insides, and flashes of light blazed like lightning in my mind. I fought to breathe, to regain some kind of hold, but all I felt was the vertigo of uncertainty. And then, just as abruptly, everything stopped. I landed hard on a densified patch of moss, cold and damp against my skin, but it felt grounding somehow. I slowly pushed myself up, shaky and disoriented. When I glanced around, my heart sank further. I was no longer in the clearing. Instead, the trees around me stood twisted and contorted, gnarled branches reaching like fingers into the dark sky. A heavy mist crawled along the forest floor, curling around the bases of the trees and adding to the otherworldly ambience. The air, now thick with despair, wrapped around me like a shroud. Do you understand now? The figure materialized before me, emerging from the fog with an unsettling calmness. Its silhouette seemed to shift with the shadows, making it hard to discern where it ended and the darkness began. What are you? I croaked, the weight of dread pressing against my throat. I am the keeper of these woods, it said, a tinge of sadness in its voice. Many have wandered here, lost in their choices, as you now stand. A shiver ran down my spine as I remembered those faces, their frozen agony chilling me anew. You said I had to choose, I murmured, fear mounting like a fever. What choice do I have? Every soul in this forest made their choice. Some chose ignorance, oblivion. Others chose to defy the darkness. But this decision comes at a cost. The figure's gaze was piercing, and I felt exposed beneath its scrutiny. But make no mistake, this is your moment. You can shift the balance of light and dark, or you can let despair consume you. The words echoed like a haunting bell through the trees, and I felt the air change as something stirred around us. The forest trembled, the ground vibrating with an uncomfortable pulse that felt alive, hungry. What do you mean by a cost? I asked, gripping my sides, desperation clawing at my chest. If I had to choose, I needed to know more. In this realm, nothing is free. The figure's expression darkened, shadows crawling closer around us. To face what lies ahead, you may have to relinquish what you hold dear. A sacrifice for truth, a stepping stone toward freedom. But how could I even begin to comprehend that? Memories of those I loved, the warmth of their laughter, flashed before me. You want me to lose everything? No, it said. You must gain clarity amidst the chaos. Embrace your truth. Before I could respond, the sounds of a distant scream pierced the air. It echoed through the woods, raw and panicked. My heart raced. It wasn't just an echo, it felt like a warning. A surge of fear seized me. The darkness thrummed around us in response to the sound, deepening my unease. We need to move, I said, scrambling to my feet. The very thought of facing whatever was chasing those screams igniting survival instincts deep within me. Whatever that is, I don't want to be here when it comes. The figure watched me intently, then nodded slowly. The path ahead will reveal your clarity. Follow, but be mindful the darkness is clever and feeds on fear. As we moved deeper into the twisting woods, I couldn't shake the creeping dread that I had entered a labyrinth of choices that could unravel my very existence. Shadows danced just beyond the periphery, like predators just waiting to pounce. Then suddenly, an urgent whisper echoed in the forest, a warning, a taunt, or perhaps a beckoning. Choose quickly, my breath hitched. Each step felt like a fracture in reality, and I realized I was not merely navigating through the woods. I was navigating through the deepest recesses of my soul as the urgency mounted. I sprinted after the figure, uncertainty hanging heavily in the air around us. What truth awaited me? What sacrifice was needed to reclaim my light? Each moment ticked by like a clock nearing its final chime, leaving me to wonder, was my fate still mine to decide, or was I already ensnared by the darkness? With every twist in the path, the eerie laughter of the woods surrounded us. What awaited beyond the next turn? The air grew colder as we journeyed further into the depths of the woods, the mist swirling around us like a living entity, tangling in my hair and wrapping around my limbs. Each step felt heavier, almost as if the ground was pulling me down, reluctant to let me go. I dared not glance back, knowing that whatever was chasing us lurked just beyond my sight, waiting to feast on my fear. The keeper moved with a purpose, their form shifting and merging with the shadows. I stumbled to keep pace, panic gnawing at my insides. What exactly am I choosing? I called out, my voice trembling. Is it worth losing everything? The figure paused momentarily, their features obscured by the fog. Your choices define you, they replied, their tone tinged with sorrow. Each decision strengthens or weakens you, but beware, there's always a consequence. A chill ran down my spine, as I recalled the faces of those who had come before me, lost, abandoned, filled with regret. Could I withstand the same fate? I pressed on, my feet pounding against the ground with urgency. Then, the scream erupted again, sharper this time, echoing through the trees. Pierced my heart like a knife. I halted, frozen in place. We can't leave them, I protested, guilt clawing at my insides. What if someone needs help? The keeper turned slowly, their darkened eyes searching mine. The choice to save another could cost you dearly. You could become irrevocably entangled in the forest's web. I shook my head, frustration bubbling up. But doing nothing feels wrong. What is the use of freedom if I leave someone else in misery? The figure sighed, as if carrying the weight of every lost soul. Compassion can lead to bravery or to despair. Trust your instincts. It felt like a futile gamble, yet something within me refused to let go. If I was meant to reclaim my light, I couldn't become a mere spectator to suffering. I took a deep breath and sprinted toward the source of the cries, my heart racing in defiance of the darkness swirling around me as I burst through the underbrush. The scene that unfolded stopped me cold. A young girl stood there, her back against a tree, eyes wide with terror. Shadows churned around her, dark grotesque figures flickering like flames in the night, reaching for her like something hungry. My heart thundered in my chest. Run! I shouted, throwing my arms out, desperate to shield her. But as I turned to pull her away, she dissolved into the mist, her scream spiraling into oblivion. I reeled back, stunned. Panic clawed at my throat. No, no, no. I gasped, spinning again. Where was she? The shadows danced closer, mocking me, whispering secrets of my failures. Your journey is tumultuous. The keeper's voice floated through the chaos. But it's far from over. I felt my legs weaken, despair creeping in, but I pressed on, battling through the turmoil. What do? I shouted into the void, my breath hitching. What can I give up to save her? Only you hold that answer, came the reply, echoing eerily. Face the darkness within you to wield the light. Suddenly, a sharp clarity pierced through the fog of panic. I knew then, the choice was not just about sacrifice. It was about confronting the monster lurking in my own heart, the regrets, failures, and the fear of losing more than I had already lost as shadows swirled around me. I steeled myself against the rising tide of dread. I would face this darkness, and whatever truth awaited me beyond it. Show me, I yelled into the abyss, determination igniting my core. Just then, the laughter returned, haunting and malevolent. Choose wisely, it taunted. Now, with a new resolve swelling within me, I took the first step deeper into that writhing darkness. What awaited beyond this threshold? Would I find that light, or would my choices drown me in despair? The woods grew darker still, and I prepared myself for whatever was looming ahead. The keeper's words echoed in my mind, a chilling reminder. The real cost of this journey may have just begun. The darkness wrapped around me like a heavy cloak. Each breath I took filled with an almost tangible dread. Shadows danced along the edges of my vision, whispering taunts that echoed my own insecurities. You're not strong enough, they hissed, you'll never save anyone. The laughter hung thick in the cold air, wrapping around me like a suffocating shroud with resolve. I took another step forward, ignoring the biting chill that left me gasping for warmth. The ground beneath me shifted, the ancient roots clawing at my feet as if they fed the darkness, seeking to drag me down into its depths. Dislocated shadows flickered like the ghosts of all the choices I had made in my life. They seemed to shift and morph, echoing my fears of failure. Face the darkness within you, I murmured, repeating the keeper's words like a mantra, each syllable striking a chord of urgency deep within my core. I had to confront not just the shadows of the forest, but the shadows that lived inside me. What if the girl wasn't the only one who dissolved into the mist? What if I, too, was destined to vanish lost to this cursed place forever? The swirling darkness pressed closer. I could smell despair. It reeked of decay and unfulfilled dreams. And then, amid the swirling void, a flicker of light caught my attention. It pulsed small but persistent like a heartbeat echoing in the silence. Hope surged through me, an almost naive pulse amid the chaos. Is that you? I called out, feeling foolish as I stepped toward it. Show me. The light flickered, wavering as if it were uncertain, yet it beckoned me closer. Each step was a battle against the talons of doubt that threatened to pull me back. I reached my hand towards it, feeling warmth seep from the glowing essence. I need to know, I whispered, what must I sacrifice? In response, the light drew back, illuminating a distorted reflection of myself, a young girl, bruised and weary, her eyes sunken from years of torment. And then the image shifted, revealing familiar faces, my family. A sharp pang of sorrow gripped me. Each visage brought its own wave of regret crashing over me. The moments I had let slip away, the opportunities one had wasted. I lost you, I gasped, clutching my hands to my chest. And I couldn't save you then. The light seemed to swell with understanding, filling the void around me with a warmth I needed desperately. It shone brighter, illuminating the darkness and showing me glimpses of choices I could make, how every regret had anchored me to my past. The keeper's warnings echoed in my mind. That wasn't simply about saving the girl. What if it was about my determination to sever the chains of guilt that grounded me here? Suddenly, laughter erupted again, cold and mocking. Do you really think you can change? The past is a shackle. No, I roared, pulling the light towards me. I refused to be defined by my mistakes. As I grasped the light, it exploded with brilliance. The shadows momentarily recoiled, leaving a blinding path ahead. My heart raced. Did this light hold the key to confront what lurked in the darkness? Or would it only expose more of my weaknesses? With newfound determination, I sprang forward, ready to face whatever twisted horror awaited me. Show me what lies ahead, I shouted, tearing through the remnants of the darkness that had held me captive for too long. But just as I stepped into the illuminated realm, the ground shook, and a rumbling voice erupted from the shadows. "You dare tread where none have returned?" A chilling reality flooded my mind. Just how deep did the darkness reach, and what real fight awaited me now? Would I have the strength to reclaim my light, or was I destined to be lost in the shadows forever? The answer hung in the air like the mist that enveloped me, thick and choking. The ground trembled beneath my feet, undulating as if the earth itself was rebelling against my intrusion. Panic clawed at my chest, tightening its grip with every heartbeat. I couldn't let fear control me now. The voice boom echoed all around, deep and heavy, as if the shadows were alive and watching, cunning eyes lurking behind the darkness. "You dare tread where none have returned?" It repeated, the malice oozing from each syllable. Instinctively, I took a step back, my feet sinking into the cold earth. But just as quickly, the light surged beside me again, urging me forward. This time, it was more than a flicker. It roared to life, golden and fierce. "Stay with me," I whispered, almost pleading. The shadows hissed, rippling like dark water, swirling around me, revealing glimpses of ancient secrets intertwined with sharp, jagged pain. I summoned every ounce of courage inside me. "I am not afraid," I shouted into the void, my defiance slicing through the atmosphere. A pulsing rhythm arose, filling the air around me. It wasn't just the light. It was a heartbeat. It resonated with my own, uniting us in a dance against despair. "Show me," I called again, louder this time, as the shadows recoiled ever so slightly. The laughter waned, replaced by a heavy silence. The weight of the moment pressed against my chest, making me aware of everything I had to lose. Yet, somehow, I felt the light beside me solidifying, becoming a guide, a shield against the dark. With each stride, I ventured deeper into the illuminated realm. I could almost taste the air, the sharpness, the metallic tang against my tongue. Each breath was a reminder of my persistence. Suddenly, the ground ahead burst with color. For a heartbeat, vibrant hues painted the stark landscape. Greens, blues, swirling together like a forgotten dream. With a pulse of energy, I broke through the shadow's edge. Somehow, I was becoming something more than darkness. I was becoming light. But then, just as I began to believe in this transformation, icy tendrils wrapped around my ankles, pulling me backward. "You think you can defy fate?" The voice thundered, more insistent, more chilling. "You're bound to fail." I stumbled, my heart racing with a rush of adrenaline and fear. "Not this time," I cried out, battling against the grip of despair. "I won't let you take me." Gripping the light hard, as if it were the last shred of hope, I unleashed everything I had inside. I felt the vibrant glow surge through me, the warmth coating my skin like a protective layer. "You're nothing but shadows," I shouted defiantly. In an instant, the shadows began to quiver. The sigh of the forest morphed into a wild wind, sending waves of cold air spiraling around me. I could see the stark contrast. Where the shadows gripped tightly, the light burned bright. It was a war, a struggle for my very essence. The balance hung on that thin line. But then, from within the heart of the darkness, something shifted. A form began to materialize, a silhouette wreathed in the inky blackness. It stepped forward, and my breath caught in my throat. I recognized it instantly. The girl. But she wasn't just the girl. It was the embodiment of every choice, every regret, every shadow I had ever faced. "You think you can save me?" she whispered, her voice a haunting echo. "You have to let go." The weight of her gaze bore down heavily. Would letting go mean succumbing to the darkness? Or could it be the key to breaking free? The forest held its breath, and I was confronted with a truth more chilling than any ghost. Could I truly face the darkness within me? Or was I destined to drown in the shadows of my past? As I stood there, time suspended, the chilling implications spun through my mind like a whirlwind. I had to make a choice. Would I fight for my light, or would I surrender to the dark? The moment stretched toward eternity, thick with uncertainty. The shadows stirred, clawing at my resolve with icy fingers. As the girl's form loomed closer, I could hear my heartbeat thrumming in my ears, drowning out the silence of the forest. "You can't save me," she breathed, the words curling around my mind like tendrils of smoke. "You don't even know who I am." In the depths of her dark eyes, I recognized my own fears, a mirror reflecting every doubt I had ever battled. I had come seeking light, yet here I stood, staring into the very darkness I aimed to overcome. My heart raced, a wild creature trapped in a cage of trembling thoughts. "Let me in," she implored, her voice dropping to a hushed whisper. "I can teach you if you are willing to learn." The offer danced in the air, tantalizing yet terrifying. What did it mean to let her in? To confront every mistake, every choice that had piled onto my back like a mountain? As I hesitated, shadows flickered at the corners of my vision, threatening to close in and drag me down. "No," I shouted, shaking my head violently as though I could dispel her presence. "I won't let you take me." Her laughter echoed softly around me, weaving into the rustling leaves and trembling branches. "You think it's that simple? You run from what you fear the most, but it's right here inside you." I felt a sudden rush of frustration. I wasn't here to relive my failures. I clenched my fists, eyes narrowing. "I won't be your puppet, nor will I embrace the darkness within." With that declaration, the air crackled, charged with a strange energy. The shadows paused, inching back, uncertain. The pulsing light at my side flared in response, emboldening me, igniting a fire deep within. Could the choice truly be mine? "Fight, then," she urged, the challenge laced in her voice. "Fight what you cannot acknowledge." The chasing shadows turned restive, swirling and dancing chaotically as if caught in a storm. I could feel the ground beneath me shift, unstable yet alive, as if it mirrored my internal battle. With each wave of darkness that crept forward, a surge of light pushed back. "I choose to embrace my light," I bellowed, pouring all my essence into the proclamation. The shadows recoiled, shrieking as they distorted into unnatural shapes, twisting around themselves in confusion. "You are not ready," the girl rasped, agony flickering in her haunting features. But I wasn't finished. I dug deeper, reaching for everything I had encountered on this journey, the moments of loss, the pain, the shadows that sought to drown me. I was not simply made of darkness. I was defined by courage, resilience, and acceptance. With a final shout, I surged forward, arms wide, ready to confront the shadows. I will not back down. The moment collided with a thunderous clap. The light exploded around me, engulfing the dark in a violent wave of brilliance. The surroundings melted away, dissolving into a kaleidoscope of colors, each hue bright and true. Then, just like that, everything fell silent again. I was alone, suspended in a vast emptiness. No shadows remained, no echoes haunting my space, just the chill of solitude wrapping around me. A crushing void that not even the light could penetrate. But there, in the depths of that silence, a new voice emerged, faint yet distinct. "You think you have won? The true battle has just begun." And with that warning, a flicker of darkness danced at the edges of my awareness, teasing the edges of my consciousness with the unsettling truth that I was far from finished. What would this new challenge mean for me? The question lingered as I stood, heart racing anew, staring into a horizon that felt both terrifying and full of promise. The stillness enveloped me like a suffocating shroud. I stood alone, heart hammering in my chest, seeking some sign of direction in the vast emptiness. My senses heightened, every sound felt magnified: the faint rustle of leaves, the whisper of the wind, the distant call of some nocturnal creature. Just then, the flicker of darkness re-emerged, creeping like a predator slinking out of the shadows. A chill skittered down my spine. I scanned the horizon, desperate for something, anything that could ground me. The voice from the void echoed back, a haunting reminder that my fight was far from over. "Where are you?" I whispered, the sound barely scraping through my throat. The darkness coiled tighter, swirling and pulsating, teasing my eyes with fleeting shapes that brushed against the edges of my mind. "You'll soon find out," it hissed, and for the first time, I felt fear creeping back into my bones. "Stop playing games," I shouted, the anger imbued with a tremor of uncertainty. "I faced you once. I can do it again." The shadows danced, morphing into fractured memories, faces of old friends, flickering images of laughter, and then grief that sliced through me like ice. "You can't escape your past," it whispered, coaxing up the pain I had fought so hard to bury. I stumbled back, my heart racing. "No, I want to feel this again." But the shadows tightened their grip, pulling me into their cold embrace. I could hear their whispers, each one a painful reminder of my failures. "You are defined by your regrets, the choices you never made." Crushing guilt weighed heavily against my chest as the memories swirled, making it harder to breathe, harder to resist. I was on the brink of succumbing, grappling with the shadow's grip. I fought to stay present, to claw my way out. "I am not my failures. I'm stronger than this." The ground beneath me shook as if responding to my defiance. With each assertion, the shadows twitched, recoiling momentarily. The bright light that had surged within me was still there, flickering like a candle in the wind. "You think you can choose?" The darkness seethed. "What about the choice that haunts you?" Suddenly images erupted around me like fireworks, a glimpse of my family. My grandfather's proud smile, the love in their eyes. They had been my compass, my guiding light. But the shadow twisted my vision, pulling me into a darker memory. I faltered, gasping as images of abandonment and betrayal invaded my mind. "Enough!" I screamed, voice cracking. "I choose to rise. I choose my truth." The flash burst alive, crashing into the void, and a warm glow spiraled around me, illuminating the shadows that encroached. Each moment of love fueled my light, pushing the darkness further away. "You are weak," it spat. "I am who I choose to be." The words exploded from my lips, reverberating through the emptiness, each echo a battle cry. The ground pulsed beneath me, and I sensed the shift, the turning point. My light danced defiantly. The shadows trembled, not knowing which way to twist. Then, like an explosion, the darkness imploded into itself. A final, desperate howl echoed as the shadows shattered into particles of despair, scattering like ash in the wind. But amidst the triumph, a surge of turmoil spilled back in, and new darkness surged on the horizon, more daunting, more vicious. I was not done yet. I could feel it drawing close, relentless and hungry. What awaited around the next corner? The thrill of uncertainty gripped me, my heart pounding as I braced myself for the unknown. And then I heard it, a chilling voice dripping with malevolence. "You've fought well, but you truly have no idea what's next." As dread washed over me, the question loomed larger: was I ready to face what was coming? Or would this darkness claim me as its own once and for all? The darkness thickened around me, swirling like a tempest, and my heart cracked under the pressure. Every ounce of will felt stretched to the breaking point. I stood at the brink, confronted by shadows pulsing with wicked energy. "I know you," I shouted, defiance surging through my veins. "You're just my fear, my past. You don't own me." Echoes of mockery ricocheted in response, reverberating through the gloom, the voices taunting and steeped in bitterness. "You cannot escape what you are. You cannot escape us." But as they taunted, I felt the flicker of light inside me grow stronger, warming my soul. My grandfather's voice whispered in my heart, "Darkness can only thrive if you let it." The air shifted, and each breath felt charged with a determination I didn't know I possessed. "Maybe you haunt me," I declared, no longer shaking, "but I refuse to live in your shadows." With my words, I called forth the brilliance brightened by all those moments of love, the affection that tethered me to my humanity. The more I remembered the faces of those who had loved me, the brighter the light became, swirling around me and forcing the dark back inch by inch. The shadows shrieked, contorting and writhing. "You think you can conquer us with memories? They are but echoes, fading in time." "No," I roared, forcing my hands before me, encapsulating the sphere of light. "They are my strength. You don't represent my past. You represent my choices. And I choose to be. I hurled my light forward as if casting a great net, spreading around me in a wave, chasing away the shadows. Everything erupted into a cacophony of warmth and brightness, the darkness recoiling, losing its battle as it diminished under the intensity of my resolve. The woods rumbled, and in that tumult, a figure emerged, my grandfather, his reassuring presence cutting through the remaining shadows with an undeniable authority. You have done well, my child, he said, his eyes glowing with pride. You have chosen to fight back. Emotion surged, filling the void where dread had lingered moments before. I felt lost, I admitted, my voice cracking. What if I succumbed to fear? Fear is a natural part of the journey. He stepped closer, his silhouette strong and steadfast. But how you respond is where your true power lies. You stood up against the tempest. Now go forth and find your light. I felt the pulse of newfound strength course through me, a powerful recognition that whispered of purpose. The shadows were now retreating, fading into nothingness, and their sinister grip no longer held me hostage. Let go of the fear, let go of the guilt. My grandfather urged gently as the forest started to shift, transforming back into a familiar landscape filled with the soft glow of twilight. You are free now. You carried their weight, but now you have lifted it. With trembling hands, I released the last remnants of darkness from within me, and it dissipated into sparkles of light. I turned my gaze to the horizon, where daylight began to paint the sky in brilliant oranges and blues. Will I ever forget? I asked softly, searching his gaze for answers. Not the lessons, but you'll find peace within them, Grandpa replied. True strength comes not from erasing the past, but accepting it. With one last lingering glance at the opening woods, my spirit soared. I could finally feel it, a profound sense of closure. In those woods, I hadn't just confronted the shadows but had emerged on the other side, ready to embrace life anew. The wilderness whispered its farewell as I stepped out beneath the open sky, the weight of darkness lifting entirely. I was free to forge my path. Thank you, Grandpa, I whispered, my heart swelling with gratitude and love. The dawn kissed my cheeks, illuminating my journey forward into the light, and with each step, I knew I was ready to reclaim my truth. Now, before you head off to embrace your own journey, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel because you don't want to miss out on the next exclusive stories we have lined up just for you. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep us growing. And I want to hear from you. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Let's connect and share our thoughts. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the light.